Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to half the race gone for yet another round of the Nukeshot Endurance Series. We are for the second consecutive week running at the Blue Moon Bay with the Infield A layout, and it's split 2, the race 2, which means it's the LMP Infield and the GT3 Pros we'll have on track today. And last week was indeed a dramatic race with quite a number of incidents. Of course, the short track and high amount of traffic overtakes between the different classes made for quite a bit of that. So it'll be interesting to see if we're in for a round of the same tonight.
Yeah, I think there were quite a few nervous minds coming up to this one because we saw what it was like last week, and maybe you can feel it even just going around the track. Oh, I'm very close to either some very slippery grass or a wall almost immediately everywhere.
Yeah. So right away, let's get the grid walk going. And
I feel like it should be more of a grid run.
It's the
cameraman is heavily laden with equipment here. He's not able to maintain a quicker pace than this.
In pole position in the LMP Infield for the second consecutive race, which is maybe a little bit surprising, at least for some. It is the series organizer, Mr. Off Apple, in the new performance Audi R18 diesel, the no hybrid, pure rear wheel drive Audi R18. So very good job by Mr. Apple in setting pole position for, as I said, the second consecutive week running. In second position, teammate Mika, the young Dutchman, in the hybrid. I am really doing well tonight.
The hybrid
Audi. The hybrid Audi. Of course, also a Rotterdam Nukeshot car. Actually, they are 3, and I think we have seen a single race with all 3 Rotterdam performance cars running. But tonight, it's only 2 of them. And of course, a lockout on the front row from the Audis here in the LMP Infield. So very nice job in qualifying there. And in third position, it is our regular pole guy, Nilseman, who's been dispatched from his pole position.
Yeah.
Over the last 2 weeks by Off Apple. Over the last 3 weeks, it is, of course. But anyway, Nilseman, always one to watch when it comes to the actual racing. The number 62 Mazda LMP 55 Vision Gran Turismo. His teammate, the Road 2 logout completed by Ninja Karma in the completely similar number 6 Mazda. And then behind it is Gugas in the Martini Toyota TSO 50 in 5th position, that is, of course. And then in 6th position, it is GRM Bandit in the Tomahawk, which is I think a car that many of us here in the series have a slightly weird relationship with, because it seems to be kind of I don't know if it's a bit of an arcade car or something. But it's the Tomahawk is here, and it'll be interesting to see just how it does in the race today. And then moving on, we have a special guest, dare I say, for this race. It's none other than Shema 74, the Shema of IGTL fame, of the official FIA Gran Turismo finals fame, indeed, also. And a very good guy in general.
Absolutely, yeah.
He's joined us today. He's put his car in pole position.
Unsurprisingly.
A big surprise indeed. In front of teammate CJ, who has... and I actually like this because they have gone for 2 football clubs with the same colors. Of course, AS Monaco is the team because he's a pro AS Monaco driver, Shoma. And then CJ, the Mad Greek, of course, a big Olympiacos fan, obviously. He's made an Olympiacos livery. I hope
that's a very nice touch.
It's a nice touch indeed.
Sure is.
Then behind them in third position in the GT Pro field, the GT3 Pro field. It is Joe of the Fire, championship leader in the field, the witty professor. Very consistent he's been this season indeed, and let's see if he can make his consistency work wonders for him today. I think it's tough composition to be up against. Mind you that CJ made a car switch and is now in the Toyota FT1. He was previously, he's been most of the season in the Volkswagen Beetle, but seemed it didn't really work out for him. Behind Joe of the Fire in 4th position in class, it's reigning class champion Stevie in the Aston Martin Vantage Group 3. And shout out to my boy Traus for that livery, which is indeed a very nice one. And let's see how they fell. It hasn't been smooth sailing completely for you guys this season.
No, it hasn't. We've had disconnects and races we were unable to attend and stuff like that. But it's ended up being quite close here by the end, and it's a very exciting final in the pro class here.
Indeed.
The Pro GT3 class, of course.
Very much so. Very much so it is. And it'll be interesting to follow this race and then the final race at La Sarthe. And it's very close in both classes, so still all things to play for, at least in the pro classes. So it's Armored Core right behind. That means Armored Core in 5th position in the Peugeot Vision Gran Turismo Group 3 car. He's going to have a hard time seeing traffic around him with no... he can't see out the car. So... and then on the final 2 spots on the grids, it's literally you and I.
Yeah. And the race gone broadcasters making sure to prove our worth here by placing last on the grid. Let's see how many cars are up front. Quite a few.
So with that, the grid walk is a done deal. Of course, we should have a look at my car. A design made by the witty professor himself. And of course, Boss playing a big part there, also in the suit sponsorship of Joe of the Fire, the race suit sponsorship, which is of course.
Oh yeah, of course, very important in sim racing is the race suit sponsorship.
Are we able to actually see this in his car? I don't know. Anyways, that should conclude the grid walk. And as it does, we are about to get the formation lab underway. So let's get the drivers running for that very short formation lab. Mind you that for next week we're gonna be looking at a 9-minute formation lap around La Sarthe, at least in the GT class, I think.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna bring snacks for that one.
Might as well. So we have the LMP field, of course, first off, and having their formation lab at slightly higher speeds. Let's take the chance to just say hello to everybody who's joined us so far in chat. Joe, Mika, and whoever is keeping the conversation alive. Welcome to the Terminal Goat, who a regular on the Iris Discord has joined us. So nice to see you.
I haven't heard that one before. Nice one.
And of course Nilse also making his presence known. I'm just gonna get the race info on. So with the LMP field now beginning just to line up, getting close to the first of 2 race starts. And the 6-car LMP field, bigger than many of what we've seen through this season in the LMP AM field, at least. Nice to see a little bit more cars.
Quite a special track for it, though.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be Oh yeah, let's see. Fingers crossed.
Quite a while here before they go, but they go now though.
Oh, and Gugas gets
hybrid power immediately. The Masters are lacking that. Tomahawk likewise. So you see the Toyota just blast into contention there immediately.
So Mika grabs the lead in front of Gugas through turn 1. Apple down into 3rd. I think it's Ninja Karma in 4th position. Nilse is 5th. Then GRM Bandit. And with that said, I think we should just go check out the GT start. Timing is all important, and that goes for the start as well, as Shomar gets a brilliant run there down to turn 1, getting a little gap in between himself and CJ. CJ having to go slightly defensive, but being able to block off Joe of the Fire, who's making the challenge down towards turn 2, this very fast double left-hand sweeper. But seemingly not too much action yet.
Everyone's still close together. We haven't had the top speed part of the circuit yet, and I think that's where we're going to see the big difference come into effect here.
Yeah, indeed. Oh, as we have the what just happened in behind? I think there was contact there as Ahmed Core goes off big time. I think there was
like he has massive damage behind as well.
And Stevie has a scrub on the car. Joe of the Fire is of course okay, he was out of that. And I have big marks on front there. Stevie pitting in, I'm pitting in. And I think it's 4 cars in the GT Pro field pitting in on lap 1 with damage. So I think it's worthy for Fs in chat. Please, folks.
There was a time for Fs. I think it's that one. That's
it's the time for Fs indeed.
The entire team of one of the championship contenders in the GT Pro class that now has had major damage at one of the worst possible times.
So indeed, a very bad start for 4 drivers in the GT Pro field. Now it's Mika leading Gugas. Ninja Karma up into 3rd position with Off Apple in 4th now. So Ninja Karma having made up a position. Nilse is in 5th position. And that is really not something we're used to seeing from Nilse, who is very much on top. Usually the class rep GRM Bandit in 6th. And then it's Shomar leading CJ and Joe of the Fire in the GT Pro field. As we have the first lapping about to be done.
The first lapping of the GT3 cars is on lap 4, which certainly indicates that we're going to see quite a few passes being made by the LMP field here.
Quite a lot of passes indeed. I think we're looking at 9 or 10 lappings all in all. So still Mika getting cleanly through the first part of traffic at least. Let's have a look here with Ninja Karma. Off Apple is quite close behind. And seems to do well to at least just hang on for the moment, for the time being. And whereas Nilse in all this, he's still within touching distance. But this is touch and go, as they say, with this overtaking. Just makes it so difficult. Pretty much all the way through. Oh, as Mika is very close to, I think that's Stevie that he's getting past.
Gets it done just in time. I think he was just trying to maximize his acceleration on the slipstream. Looks very for a second there, but he did get it done.
He did get it done indeed. Now Apple very close to Ninja Karma. Will he be able to make a move as they come down towards turn 1? Apple on the outside. That's certainly not the place to pass. Oh, as he gets a squirmy moment there as the track falls down. And now back onto the banking. Then into turn 2, he's on the inside. Oh, there's contact between the two. Oh, Off Apple gets absolutely destroyed by the inside wall there. A little bit of contact between himself and Ninja Karma. And annihilation is what we've seen. F's out once more. I'm afraid we're gonna have to ask you to pull him out, because that is indeed horrible luck. Look at Shomar and CJ. The team play is looking strong. CJ being able to keep the slipstream of his teammate so far. And they've been pulling away steadily from Joe of the Fire, who looks to be just a couple of seconds in behind. And he indeed is still not Oh yeah, he of course is quite a bit away from Stevie, who was in the pits also with damage after that lap 1 incident.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of way to go, but looking at it, his pace is closer to that of Stevie than it is to that of the Toyotas in front of Jamar and Christopher. So there's still some movement here, perhaps in the by now kind of designated Infield.
Yes, very much so.
But looking at the way the first few laps have gone, anything can happen in this race.
And it usually does, from what we've seen. Our experiences at Blue Moon Bay was very unpredictable last time around when we had the reverse splits running. For now, Mika looking strong. He's on his 7th lap. That means he's coming on to the 8th lap now through that final corner. Luka's doing a pretty good job though of hanging on. He's not really within the slipstream. The Audi is very strong on top speed, but it'll be interesting to see if Mika can keep his consistency about him today. Yet to make his first win, yet to have his first win in this series. He's been on the podium on a couple of occasions so far, both in the LMPA and the GTA Infield, so of course would be nice for him with his first victory. Now Nilseman has bettered his position, he's up into 3rd. That of course I think is due to damage for, of course, off Apple. I think also Ninja Karma might have some.
We'd have to expect that Ninja Karma wasn't able to give that big of a shot without picking up some suspension damage of his own, so that might be the cause. But
CJ has overtaken Schumacher now, so they are. It's like watching. It's like watching a breakaway in cycling as they're taking relays back and forth in order to save the fuel, trusting each other's speed, knowing each other is fast enough to put down a pace that's quick enough to break away from the rest of the field, and that's certainly something new.
To be paying dividends here. It's quite impressive and quite a break from the tactics you normally see of Crazy John. He normally, I haven't seen him really do team tactics in any of his teams.
No, that's true.
To do his own race and just fend for himself out there. And, here with one of the finest racers around, obviously, I think this was a good time to make a change from that and see if he could learn something. I get the feeling he might have as well. So a good decision by CJ there.
Indeed it is. Mika still leading. Gugas a little bit further behind than he was last time around. Nielsen not really seeming to be able to follow the pace that these two at least are putting down right now. And that Mazda has been very fast for the season, but the big difference from Nielsen and the rest of the field in the end has been this level of consistency. And this is very much a race where consistency is key and king. So
yes. But I think it's also a case of this track actually being quite geared towards the electric motion of the hybrid cars. Given the way that it accelerates between a given speed and not much beyond that, that has really get to use, maximize the boost all the way down these shorter straights. And then the straight tour is long, but there's only one of them. So.
Well, that's true. That's true. So since last time we welcomed folks, we've had a couple of new joiners who at least made their appearances known in chat. That goes for Hunty and Shomar as well. So a very warm welcome to both of you. Sup, y'all. Right now we're watching me going around in what's effectively last position, both overall and in class. I have a little bit of a moment there, I lose it. Oh, and I swear I didn't even know what was gonna go wrong there, but I did anyways. And I'm going the wrong way to find a place to make the U-turn. I pulled that off at least. Somewhat
gotta find the joy even in the sadness.
Yeah. So I'm just doing great. Let's check in with you in front.
Oh yeah, I'm doing smashing.
But at least you're still somewhat close to teammate Stevie, having fallen already at this point, having fallen a lap behind. My will to race at this point is already getting low. I think I can say that much. But at least I can say also as much as that I don't quit.
Yeah, you know, you have to keep running no matter what, and you certainly did that. Yeah, pending any heavy mechanicals, you certainly seem intent on continuing to run. That's always good to see.
So we have myself.
Those rage quits.
We have myself in the pits. That's just damage, it seems. No tires fixed. Exit the pits once more. So back in the action. Let's check in with the LMP AM leader Mika, who's pulled out his advantage to Gugas in second position, and Gugas won't be too happy with not being able to keep up with Mika. And as we say that, just around the 13-minute mark, we have Gugas coming into the pits for his first scheduled pit stop, and that's, as we would expect, just Tyres, and he is out flying once more. And he rejoins in third position, so of course Nils wasn't as far behind as he wouldn't be able to take the position from Gugas. So let's try to keep in mind that Gugas now already has pitted, and let's see if he can be able to take advantage of those fast laps he'll have in his car compared to his competitors in class.
Oh yeah, for sure. Coming out on first tires is a quite predicament here, because you run the risk of getting caught behind traffic for quite a while. Those early laps, so it's going to be looking to get a nice last lap.
And just having a look with the tomahawk of GRM Bandit. Way behind now, still within touching distance though of Ninja Karma.
So he does look to be struggling with a bit more weight than most of the other P cars we see running around here.
Oh yeah, picks up a scrape of that outside wall. If any wall could be named the Wall of Champions in this series, I think that one is a strong contender.
I'm still gonna go with the one on Dragon Trail and the bus stop chicane.
Yeah, but that's...
If you don't know what I'm talking about, go see our GTPlanet
F1
1985 stream. See a bunch of
so now
the best races around continually hit the wall.
I'd say when you get around and do that yourself, when racing on Dragon Trail and get frustrated, oh, the chicane of death, indeed it is. Yeah, I guess it's some kind of consolidation that at least the best guys in the world. So Shomar back into the lead in the GT Pro field, and he seems to be breaking away from CJ just ever so slightly at the moment, as we have Nils and Stevie exit in the pits simultaneously here. And I think Stevie must have had some, because, or could it be a planned pit stop?
I think it's possible that it's a planned pit stop, because I know he put tires on after the damage.
Yeah.
I don't think that was quite the strategy the team had in mind, but that's what they did. So he illustrates the next stint.
Yeah, and he does.
That's what happened.
And then he does just hold track position. Still running fourth in crash. Now we have Shomar and CJ pitting, both of them. It seems that Shomar has actually been able to save a little bit more fuel over that first stint than CJ. Let's see the difference between the two as they come out the pits. CJ doing his usual tactics of fueling a little more in that first stint and then carrying that extra load towards the later stops, and hoping to be able to have some kind of success with this. Now Joe of the Fire very close to Shomar, but of course Shomar on completely fresh rubber. I think it will be difficult for the Witty Professor to really get any say in this battle. So it seems the FG1 has the superior top speed.
It certainly has the superior top speed, but what you're seeing now is that even through the squiggly bits here, the Master actually is able to keep up, despite the gap. Obviously, the two will also be carrying out, but it was actually able to keep up. But now coming onto the straight, it was difficult to match it through their they were on his exit be so much better. And the Toyota is very, very fast coming down that nose, right?
So now Joe of the Fire coming in for his first scheduled stop. Also one of those huge cars not to be involved in any sort of squabbling about not any problem so far for Joe of the Fire. He returns still in third position, so in front of Stevie still. That would of course make sense given that Stevie does have some making up to do. So for everyone
go 3 wide here real quick.
See, that's the battle between Apple and Ninja Karma. That's the battle for 4th position in the LMP class. Let's go have a look with that. Let's go on board with Ninja Karma. Oh, Apple gets squirmy there. And Ninja gets a good run. He holds the inside maybe with the possibility of a cutback. He does go for it, and I think he will execute that to perfection. The French monster makes it up into 4th place.
Little move there, even dealing with the punch of that Audi is a good job. But then doing it on that narrow line and even with a bit of squiggliness in the beginning.
But I think the 4-wheel drive Mazda actually is able to match the non-hybrid Audi of Apple,
of course, and
on the first couple of.
It's a good car to kind of chuck in the passes like that because it does kind of self-correct what you.
Yeah. It does seem, as we've mentioned before, also in previous races, to be very, very important.
Ninja Karma is certainly doing what he needs to get away from Apple. He needs to set the best sector 1 time of anyone.
Really breaking away, of course.
Tough to see.
He is on fresh rubber, and Apple rubber seems to be past its best days.
Yeah.
Now he's into the pit, and that's his first scheduled stop. And let's see where he will be able to exit. That will be in the lead by quite a margin actually. So well done from the Rotterdam Audi mechanics.
Yeah, good stuff.
And well done to Mika. He's been holding on to the lead for almost 20 minutes now.
Yeah, looking pretty comfortable as well. So he's not pushing the lines and seems to be riding well within his comfort zone, and that's good to see.
It's a pleasure to see.
Mika's been one of those drivers where you can see that there was definitely potential for him, but sometimes he was a bit erratic in his performances, perhaps. So to see him ride with a bit more of a conservative approach is nice to see.
Indeed, very much so. It has been a little bit the problem with Mika, but his approach has been too aggressive. It's resulted in too many mistakes on his own part. So we see him keep cool head, at least so far. Let's hope that he can keep it this way. Lucas now in for his second pit stop. Don't remember it being too long ago. It certainly isn't too long ago he had his first stop, so I think he will certainly be losing out on this one. He's only been out for 8 laps since his last stop, and he rejoins behind Ninja Karma in 4th position. Now Apple moving up into 5th, but he wasn't 5th. He has though pitted not that many laps ago, so it makes sense for him to get past GRM Bandit. Let's have a look with the leader. It is still Shamar putting down a blistering race pace. If you look at the lap times, oh, that's some serious stuff indeed. And he's shaking off CJ for now.
Seems to distance him by quite a margin in quite a short number of laps here, and yeah, he's really putting down the hammer. I kind of wonder what that does to the tires, because I know that car is very hard to handle coming through the tighter corners. It's certainly set up to be fast down the straights. Pushing that hard is probably starting about a bit, I think.
So CJ in 2nd position there. Now a healthy gap in front, and also seems to be a healthy gap behind down to Joe of the Fire, who also in turn has had an uneventful race, surprisingly uneventful so far. I'll keep it at so far.
Oh, and Mika's in P2.
Oh, Mika's in 2nd position. Oh, and with a big scrape on the nose of the car, and he actually has mentioned something about Fs earlier.
So we managed to foreshadow it, and we even had some spoilers in the chat about it, and then we still missed it.
We still missed it.
The production. That's exciting from the production crew there.
And he has been in the pit now. Nils is leading. It's pretty much come from out of nowhere. Did Ninja? I think. Did you just see Ninja appearing out of nowhere? I think Ninja Karma is suffering with his connection at this point of the race. But Mika rejoining from the pit and from his accident in second position. That's really horrible luck. But just thinking, did he even pit yet for it? It's
graphics certainly isn't
very much, but he's setting.
He must have.
He must have. He cannot be setting the best laps of the race. That's a possibility, and that's of course also why Nils is a little bit in front. See this lap all the way through. Indeed. So that makes sense. Bad luck for Mika throwing away that lead. I see how quickly things can change. It's Nils leading, Mika second, Ninja Karma in third position, Gugas down in fourth, and Apple, the pole setter today, who when he set pole on Interlagos last time around, he was able to hang on to it for quite a bit of time, for half the race pretty much.
Yeah.
Certainly wasn't able to this time around.
That he wasn't, but it certainly is also a track where even the slightest mistake really gets punished.
Indeed.
Because you're so close to those grassy areas and walls and other cars. And yeah, it's a very, very hectic track, so even a small mistake is enough. Yeah, I kind of like that you're seeing the classic Instrument shine through and he's getting around trouble-free, and that's really paying off.
It is. It is. Now we have me in the pits once more.
Oh, and it looks like a big mechanical issue this one.
It seems to be. It seems to be one that'll take more time than something we've ever seen before in GT Sport.
It was a very big shunt you gave Armored Core in the beginning, so I'm not surprised to see some major transmission issues here.
So as my car is in the pit lanes, the mechanics are, as you see, very busy working on that car. And
that's a frantic pit area. It's pushing and shoving and
we'll
shoving.
have to see how quickly the mechanics can get the car back on track.
It's also around this point that I realized that I have some type of infestation in my car, so I'm very distracted with stuff going on around the cockpit. So starting around now, by now I realize that I'm no longer really in the race, so I suddenly noticed this whole infestation in the car, and that's why you'll see me go off a few times.
He's still running fourth position. Let's see how far behind Joe of the Fire he is. Imagine that he is closing the gap.
Yes, he's closing the gap.
Very much closing the gap.
It's an interesting situation because he's running shorter stints. It's more than just Joe, and I believe Joe might be running the soft tires.
He's running the soft tires for this race.
He's running considerably longer stints, and it's going to be all of the tactics, and interesting to see what will happen there pending eventual mishaps.
So still Toyota's running first and second with the GT Pro class, with Shamar leading CJ. And as you said before, barring mishaps, I don't expect that to change anytime soon. But as we've also seen, anything can very much happen. Now we have Stevie pitting in. And that looks like a scheduled pit stop. At least tires going on there, fuel coming on as well. Yeah. And then nothing more. So that's good to see. And he rejoins, of course, still in that fourth position in class. Now let's see the LMP leader Nilseman. Seems to have a healthy advantage now in front of Mika. I also think he is nearing the end of his second stint. as we're also closing in on the half the race gone marker ever so slightly. We are also.
I feel like they always spoil the half the race gone.
I'll shut up next time.
No spoiler.
Shut up. I'll shut up next time. Anyway, what I meant to say was that we are getting close to the second pit window. Pretty much of those cars that haven't had problems yet. Of course, I think the most cars running here, strategy by now is going to be screwed by the accidents and incidents and what's happened on track. But for a couple of cars still running smoothly, it's going to be the pit stop window we're going to be seeing in a short matter of time.
Around me there, scrapes the wall of potential champions.
The wall of the would-be wall. It's not a would-be wall. It's
Be made of wood. It needs to be made of material.
Yeah. It caused less damage to the cars that way. Mika now still running second position. Ninja Karma in third. And Lucas is behind in fourth position, so there's an actual possibility of Lucas being able to catch up. He's been able to put down a better pace earlier in the race, but he's been put off his best pace a little bit by those incidents as he makes his way past Shamar here. Let's go on board with Lucas, Portuguese, for the twisty bit of the track. And then this double apex left-hander with the second one being slightly tighter than the first, or actually quite a bit tighter than the first, which always makes it a very difficult one to judge. And this last corner, I call it.
It's such a strange exit. You have to exit slightly more to the right than you feel like you should actually be closer to the wall. It's very weird. Nice to see Lucas getting that done pretty tightly, pretty neatly. I would have expected a bit more tail action. Those two corners, I feel like they're perfectly timed to the point where you have to accelerate at the worst possible time on the torque band.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I can only imagine what it's like in that.
Ninja Karma out the pits in fifth position. That leaves off Apple fourth now. Gugas up into third position. And as we mentioned, that is a pit stop that's on time, I guess, for Ninja Karma, or so you would expect at least. Oh, Ninja Karma!
It looked like he managed to save it at first, but he was just too close to the grass and couldn't quite control it. And you only have to touch the grass with a tenth of your tire, and that's enough to suddenly lose grip on all of the rubber.
Yeah, that's very much true, and very, very, very bad timing for Ninja Karma to have this accident on his outlap, and he certainly will have to pit as he comes in to get the damage fixed. And Shamar also pitting now, and that's Tyres and fuel for the GT Pro leader as he exits the pit. I think there's only one place we could expect to find him, and that is first. Now Joe of the Fire hasn't got past CJ. I'm thinking that must have been because CJ has been into the pits not too long ago. Joe of the Fire, very consistent with his lap times, one must say.
Yeah. Safe to assume that he's running a very controlled method here, and certainly making the best of it. He seems to have gotten around pretty much without trouble, and that's certainly an indicator of class in a racing car driver is surviving races like this.
Yeah.
The cream floats to the top, I guess you could say, and that's what you're seeing with the Nilsson and Joe of the Fire being the strongest of
the strongest
of the survivors. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Nilsson and of course Shamar as well.
Shamar getting around absolutely speaking. CJ can doing a great job as well, especially when we know that it was probably a pretty horrible car to handle. because it was set up so much.
Yeah,
Certainly does need to be working hard to keep it under control, but he's managed to do so far. Kudos for that.
Joe of the Fire now exiting the pits, and that is in third position. So still in front of Stevie. Well, I was just as I managed to say that Stevie is actually just gotten by Joe of the Fire. So we're in for a bit of battling here, I think. Stevie, who's not that far into his stint, he's done very well to come back from being a long way behind and having to pit on lap 1, and he's pretty much on terms with Joe of the Fire at the moment. So Joe of the Fire should though be able to close that gap on the fresh rubber. If he gets inside the slipstream, the Mazda Atenza is certainly no slouch in a straight line. We see here Stevie really trying to get, he's trying to do his best to get rid of his championship challenger, you could say. Those two are very tightly locked in a battle, with CJ also, of course, still being. Joe of the Fire takes it around the outside. I didn't really see that coming. Stevie trying to get a comeback move done, but that was a strong one from
Apple
Joe
and
of the
Google
Fire.
are having to hold off a little bit because of the gravity of this battle. They make their way through here, and that was actually pretty good for Gugas. He made up a bit of the gap to Apple.
Oh, but Stevie gets contact with Gugas there as he tries to go up the inside of Joe of the Fire.
It looked like a hard impact, but so far he seems to be keeping the car under control.
Certainly not satisfied. We see a frustrated flashing of lights from the GT3 Pro champion, and he's flashing for the pits, and that means he is coming in. Oh, that's the end of that battle for now, at least. Poor luck for
What a
Stevie.
shame after some great running in an attempt to recover. Just gets it done, and suddenly everything's back on for the championship battle playing out. Yeah, just a quick little incident that can cost a lot. You started once, you have to wonder if you can do it again.
Still 25 minutes of racing left. As GRM Bandit gets out the pit ride behind Stevie. Now he has to go the long way around. He waits intelligently for the cutback. Just for a short moment, check back with the Mazda engineers, but still no sign of my Atenza coming back on the track now. You're entering the pits once more. That's Tyres, fuel. And let's see Mika and Nilse into the pits at the same time. And those two are very close indeed. Let's see who gets out first. Nilse has back for taking some very low pit stops. Oh, they are close. They're literally almost inside of each other. Oh, as there's contact. There wasn't contact, but there is traffic indeed to have to contend with. Oh, that's
Too much for me in the ends.
The fire ends, the turning
Between me
fire
and the
ends.
ends, I simply couldn't also balance two LP cars. I already had like 500 ends in that car.
The ends. Oh, so another great race for the broadcast team. That's Trail 666 and DirtenDK. Nilseman and Mika now proving that the race is most certainly not dead, and the action is very much alive. And Mika has shown to have the pace earlier in the race. Let's see if he can get within real touching distance of Nilsen now. Off Apple is arriving to his pit box with very little fuel left, so that's just about time. Seems to be on schedule, or on schedule it probably isn't, but at least he's been able to run to the end of his fuel capacity this time around. He did have a big accident when he hit the inside wall of turn 2, and then went wide to the outside following. Now GRM Bandit.
GRM Bandit ascended on to heaven, but now he's back to earth.
Yeah, he was He was
quite the brightness he had
featuring
in his area there. You have to wonder what kind of technology is preparing this to turn on.
He was featuring in a film co-starring Patrick Swayze for a short moment there, but then returned to the world of now being a celebrity in 80s movies that I will not name the title of. You have to make that up for yourself. Shomar is still leading the GT Pros, and he's doing a very strong job. He's left CJ for dead behind, and it's right by some distance indeed. I think it's Ninja Karma getting past, or is it actually? No, certainly not. That was Ninja Karma indeed in third position. Now Kuga's running for CJ. Very wide, just manages to keep the car.
I gotta say, I did quite a lot of running and practice behind one of these cars, and that pretty much just seems to be the way they did that most of the time.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad it isn't me
Pretty
doing that.
adventurous, but it certainly seems to be paying off for them. You gotta give them a shot.
You don't say. Joe of the Fire is still consistently running third class. Did have a battle with Stevie, but Stevie struck by bad luck once more as he got hit by Kukas. And of course that also cost Kukas a turn. So Nils is still holding off Mika, but Mika seems
He's getting closer. He's certainly putting down the pace here, and I think putting on the heat onto Nilsman. And he's really getting
through that sector. The LMP hybrid power of the Audi R18 hybrid really shines through. Now Apple is in the pits once more. It hasn't been more than a couple of laps since he was in the last time. So that definitely means that he's had some kind of incident. Bad luck.
Ever more scratched than of that car. He's certainly one of the less successful drivers around here, and it certainly is very, very difficult. I believe you can as well, Dirten.
Very much so. Very much so. Let's go check back with that LMPM lead battle, because Mika is by no way out of contention yet. Those two are very much close. It's I think one of the closest battles we have at the moment on track. It's also a good battle for third position between Ninja Karma and Gugas. It has lasted for some time. Let's just check in with those. Yeah, Gugas definitely beginning to catch up to Ninja Karma at this point. But that 1 minute lap on the last lap for Ninja Karma, that is suboptimal. Let's go on board with Gugas just to find out.
Just to witness how quickly this happens, to be honest. Because this is the strongest sector to Toyota as well. So
it is.
This is gonna be.
Yeah, those accelerations out these corners does need to be like walk speed. Once you get on the throttle, everything comes flying at you very fast.
Yeah.
Especially when racing from cockpit view. We real boys do.
Hashtag real boys.
Hashtag real boys. Hashtag boys are back in town.
Hashtag buff horses.
But look at the top speed of the Mazda though. Very impressive. Seems to be actually pulling away from the Toyota. Or the exit of Ninja Karma through the last corner was just that strong. Of course, hard to exactly know when we were watching on board from Google. But anyways, he was losing just a little bit of time. And now you see he's really gaining though quickly through that middle sector. Down through the kink and now down towards the right-hand hairpin. Not really close enough to make any kind of move. Though he might be able to launch himself up the inside. Oh no, certainly not. That it does seem to be the stability of the Mazda LF55 Vision Gran Turismo that is the biggest advantage of it. That and a very handy top speed. This time around, Gugas though within the slipstream. Of traffic to contend with makes it a little bit more difficult for Gugas to get the perfect run on Ninja Karma. And as I mentioned before, it does really seem like the Mazda has a nice top speed.
It really does get going once it gets up to it. It's mainly in the shorter, more acceleration based that the hybrid is able to. The hybrid is able to to play its part.
Yeah,
That's
indeed.
what we're getting up to here, and look just how measured that braking is. It's very good. There's no doubt that his target is going to be being absolutely tucked into that slipstream.
To be as close as possible. Oh, that's very close indeed. Oh, he needs to be not to be too close because of the dirty air. That also might be the effects of what we're seeing here, because if you're too close to the car in front in that last corner, you're going to suffer from excessive understeer compared to the car in front, and that's just going to lose you out all the way down to turn 1.
I say yeah, but
It certainly is. Now Nils is still leading Mika, and those two are about the status quo as when last time we checked, a couple of seconds or two, which is pretty much the same thing. As I give it a little bit of thought.
that was a bit of a Murray Walker one as well.
A Dirtenism.
It's gonna end up being Dirtenism, but I feel like you're forcing it.
No, I'm just having to call it something because my name isn't Murray or Walker. And my Danish maternal name wouldn't make any sense. So what else to call it? Blancs. Steve is still in 4th position.
It's still on a very, very strong pace.
Catching up
you
to
have
Joe.
to wonder if it's enough.
Is it Joe of
There's
the
no
Fire?
doubt that the morale of Joe of the Fire is going to be buoyed. Or he certainly is still catching.
He's still catching. He's still within touching distance.
It's
Shout
cost
out.
him quite a lot.
Shout out to my engineers for bringing me back on track. Just about said that behind and look at the top seriousness. Shout out to.
If I had some Middle Eastern music,
Yeah, it was time to cue the Arab techno for a moment. Then we see traffic coming up. Off Apple coming up. They're having to pass. Oh, it gets. I'm sorry, Apple. Then through there, lost 2 seconds through this first sector. A little bit more.
But it wouldn't have made any difference.
It wouldn't
the way
have.
we as soon as anyone was close, obviously we put our new faces back on.
Yeah.
And just I think our job was just being traffic at that point. But we were traffic.
Ninja Karma in the pit now. So Ninja Karma pitting in. I don't think he has any damage or anything, but it's interesting to see if Gugas, if he can perform the proper undercut and put some time into Gugas. Just about.
It's a nice timing for it. It's not much time-wise of an undercut.
No.
We're talking. Well, it is a 1 minute lap, so we're talking about a lap or two.
Yeah.
Of an undercut, and that might actually pay off.
Yeah, it's not an excessive amount of pressure he's putting onto his tires. Of course, Gugas has also been running on these tires for quite a while. So let's see how that plays out. We have GRM Bandit into the pit. He's exiting. He's still in 6th position in class. Nils is still leading Mika. Those two are now separated by a somewhat greater distance than before, as Nils comes up to a lap because of
The Douche Boys.
the Douche Boys, yours truly. Of course, realizing that this is the leader and another Mazda, I'll try to get out of the way as nicely as possible, but very patient game from Nilsman. Waits for the launch. The cut back corner that I don't really ever consider a corner when I talk about this track, because I mean it is a corner, but
It's a not straight.
it's in America it would probably be a corner. In Europe, it's not a corner. So Shamar in the pits with very little fuel left, and that'll of course be his last, at least his last plant stop.
Yeah, always a nice thing to be able to do, to maximize your second to last stint, to have as short as possible last stint, so you have to have all the time, or at least as little as possible, because this is Green Bay.
Yeah.
And your lap time starts to drop out.
CJ also in. Joe of the Fire also in. I think Joe of the Fire is actually quite close to CJ at this point. A little bit less fuel left for Joe of the Fire. Of course, CJ did put in more at an earlier stint. So actually, with that in mind, not that big of an advantage, but he is out some time before the Witty Professor. So I think it's going to be difficult for him to make any kind of returns. Let's see where Stevie is. Stevie's actually gotten past.
Yeah.
He's up ahead once more, but this time around I think his tires are getting worn.
Very close to his last pit stop. It's going to be still possible for him if he has a perfect run, because he's going to have a very, very fast last stint. I think I'm willing to predict. It's going to be a short one.
It is, so he'll have fresher tires for the last couple of laps, and he will be on the super softs. I think Joe of the Fire is still running the racing soft compound at this time. Let's go watch with, oh, there's bits and bobs of track markers flying as Nils has been wide, I think, coming out of the double apex left-hander in the final section of the corner of the track, and now he's in the final section of the corner, and now Nilson's coming into the pit, so I think he actually had contact with the wall, and Mika takes over the lead, and that is quite late in the race, but Mika hasn't had, I think, he hasn't had his last pit stop yet, or at least if he hasn't had his last pit stop, then it's the graphics playing tricks with us. Let's try to go around trials. Oh, it's Stevie. It's Stevie indeed. And Stevie also gets it. Oh, I think he also goes up, and there's a big contact once more. Oh my! Is there gonna be any coming back from Mika? Oh, and Stevie, such bad luck as well. He was on the comeback trail against Joe with the Fire in the battle for third. Now that must be all but over for Stevie. And let's see how it affects Mika. He might be lucky if he hasn't pitted yet. That will be his only chance. But it will be a massive time loss.
Yeah, he's running seemingly with engine damage and fighting that suspension damage as well. So yeah, losing a lot of time just going into the pits. It's going to be, I'd say at least 10 seconds.
Yeah. I think you're right on that one. I think you're completely right on that one. So let's see, Mika in the pits. Nils is still running. Has he had his last stop already? If so, it'll be very difficult for Mika. Nils has had his last stop, so this looks like Nils is being handed the victory pretty much. Guga's now in second. Mika rejoining in third position. We still have status quo then in the GT Pro class, in the GT Pro field, with Shamar leading CJ, Joe of the Fire.
Did you see how he entered the corner?
Yeah.
That is legitimately probably the only way possible to enter that corner. I think following those cars before the race, I was really just thinking, I can see it's fast if they can survive for now, but it looks very, very hard to survive for now. But they both managed it, so well, maybe.
They've managed for 50 minutes. Oh, Dana. We had a look with Stevie before, as he had his big incident there with Mika. Joe of the Fire. He's had a very clean race so far. I think he's one of the only cars that seemingly hasn't had contact with anything, no scrapes or bumps on his car. I saw some on the car of CJ earlier. And I think Shamar might be another contender for that spot.
Yeah, very impressive to see around here when I'm going to go ahead and say at least 85% of the field. I guess 85 or 80% is probably the same amount. Yeah, something like that. Pretty much everyone had some type of hard contact.
Yeah.
And these two guys seem to have done it without any contact at all. You have to wonder. There's a bit of a scrape on the side as well, but there's certainly not action for him.
I think everybody in the Infield has had their contacts and their problems with it. I don't think anyone is born alone in that actually. So I think it's been a question of who has had the least problems. That's proper endurance racing for you.
It really is.
Even though it's cooked down to the format of 1 hour, we are, of course, within the last 10 minutes of racing now. As off Apple gets a pair of tires.
Off Apple has got to be wondering what happened. Started off so strongly. It was looking so promising. He was trying to make moves from being in contention for the lead there for a while. And one brief moment, one lapse of concentration. Who knows what it was? One giant hit of wall.
Oh, look at the Ninja. See the weight was going back and forth there. It certainly wasn't there. Oh, Ninja just goes straight on. Did he die? Did he actually
Die in the car?
Did he actually die in the car? It looks more like one more disconnect with just over 7 minutes remaining. Such
Very unfortunate indeed.
that's very bad timing for the French monster.
Ninja Karma had been having some problems with its connection as well before the race, and his connection engineers were working hard on that, but it didn't seem like they managed to get it done. Different possible causes being discussed in the chat, but in general in the media, of course.
We can tell you as much as we know that Nielsen or as the Ninja Man, I was about to say.
Ninja Man.
The Ninja Karma is well and alive still. Oh, what's that?
I believe that's you.
That was me indeed, having a late spin.
I believe this is where when you scare the excrements out of both me and Stu, because we're still in the middle of everything.
Yeah, it certainly is.
DirtenDK, the producer today, decides not to show us this.
Wait. So Mika still in third position, gifting second at least to Gugas. He was still in with a shout for the win.
Yeah, very, very disappointing for him. He'd had a great race for the first maybe 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And then perhaps just a bit of a lapse in concentration started to show itself. Speaking of lapses of concentration.
Well, you managed to keep it pretty much on track though. Might have taken a bump. Looks like suspension damage though.
No, that was just that was just the ants.
That was just the ants. So Nielsen with a big gap down to Gugas. Gugas, has he even had past that? Even though, of course, those last 10 laps hardly makes up 10 minutes, and he should have had that last pit stop, of course. Gugas goes very deep into that double left-hander on the final bit, but on the final corner, he seems to be okay now. Certainly looked like he was gonna get it all wrong for a second there before, but he managed to keep it okay. Mika is 10 seconds behind Gugas, I'd say. Something around that. Certainly it's going to be difficult for him to do anything about that second place in front of him now. Or so I call with 4.5 minutes to go. Apple is pitting in. And that might just be for fastest lap on the Super Soft. I don't think he was running the Super Soft as a race compound before.
It's hard to see what else he could be trying to achieve, and that goes both for what he could achieve with a pit stop and what he would try to achieve by not pitting, because after those that unfortunate mid-race block he had, he's kind of out of contention for much else. But he was proving that he had a quick pace.
Look at the car of Gugas that seems to be jerking about quite a bit. Does it have damage? Chat says Gugas has damage.
Gugas has damage.
Gugas has damage. So Mika, after all, might have been given a lifeline. There is Stevie. What is going through the mind of Gugas as he gets it all wrong on the outside?
See, it certainly did put him off a little bit. He did manage to hold it there, but Steve is off now. So not a friendly interaction between the classes there, and that's always a sore sight to see. And yeah.
And it's all really coming into the hands of Mika here with just 3 minutes of racing left.
And that puts Joe ahead of... Steve?
Well, I think Stevie was quite a bit away behind Joe of the fire already. As Joe has been holding that third place for quite a while, and Stevie has been making his comeback on several occasions, but then getting locked out of it. Yeah. So we're following Mika on his way down to turn 1. The exit seems to be gaining on Gugas in front. That red dot in front gets bigger and bigger, and Gugas gets squirmy.
Gugas is feeling the heat.
He certainly is, and there's still a couple of laps left, so we might get some last-minute action between.
You see, Gugas is consistently about 3 or 4 seconds above his normal running time, so these tires are absolutely dead by now.
Yeah, and plus the damage he's running with.
And with damage as well, he's certainly not hoping to do much battling, but that's what he's going to get. And it's going to come from an Audi, so you know it's going to be quick down the straight.
As Gugas goes very defensive, tries to weave Mika out of his slipstream, not very sportsmanlike in the end, but it's very different.
Also not
from
very efficient.
Also not very efficient. He will be losing speed himself and making the straight longer. Sometimes I've thought about just behind if you're in the faster car, just go straight line, you'll be gaining. So let's go on board with Mika. As we're approaching the final minute of racing, he's gonna throw it up the inside. Oh, he is gonna throw it up the inside, but is he gonna be able to make it stick? Gugas defending well for himself, but I can't see that holding up. And a car that has that amount of damage gets a nice exit there. Mika a little bit onto the grass. So Gugas is still alive. He's still believing that he'll be able to finish in that second position as he goes very defensive once more. But this time I think Mika really has to run. Oh, and that swerving is not really allowed when you're defending. Mika, will he get it through the outside? I think he will actually. That's a brilliant move from Mika. Of course having the grip advantage, of course not having the damage, at least as far as we know, but that is a very strong move, getting it done on what is effectively, I think, if I can just see, perhaps at least the final lap. We'll have to check in with that in just a few moments of time. Here is Shamar. He is on his final lap. And the same will go for CJ as he makes it across the line. And of course, same goes for Nilse. Now the time is up and we're just past the hour marker, which means that anybody hitting the line now will finish the race, and that goes for Joe of the Fire, finishing in third position in the GT Pro field. And Mika and Gugas crossing the line there, second and third in the LMP AM, so a strong finish after all in the end for Mika to very surprisingly claim second in class. That was one I didn't see coming, at least. GRM Bandit fifth. See down the orders. Coming across the line here. Nils is also coming across to win yet again in the LMP AM field in his Mazda LM55 Vision Gran Turismo. He's been so strong this season and picks up yet another win.
And what an amazing race from him this time. A lot of the races he's won, it's almost been kind of lights semi easy.
So we're gonna see a formation
pure pace.
Formation finish from the Toyotas. It is gonna be respectfully keeping behind from CJ and not jumping in to steal those extra points, but a very dominant display from from the Vert team today. I think we were maybe expecting it a little bit, but they really pulled it off, and they stayed clean. They kept it cool through the traffic, and
I mean, we saw it on pace early on in practice, and maybe even kind of had a feeling about it, knowing the characteristics of that FT1. But then we saw how hard the car seemed to be to manage, and thought, okay, so maybe there is a chance. And in the end, it certainly was hard work for the drivers to keep it under control all the way through the race, and very, very good job on them. Living up perhaps to the expectations in a way.
Yeah, certainly.
Which is also a difficult thing to do, perhaps, with a bit of pressure on them.
Yeah. You could say that at least definitely CJ being one of the absolutely fastest in the series, usually, and then Schumacher joining in as a world class player. Of course, he's expected to be very fast, and he did show that his race pace were beyond what we're used to seeing in the NES. Even though the top level of the series is certainly not that far behind. After all. So, but anyways, big congratulations to Nils as well, who took, as you said before, a very strong victory.
Yeah.
Starting 5th on the grid, and then
I feel like this was probably the race of his season, purely because of starting so far back and having to make that many passes and stay clean for that long. The guys in front might even just from the beginning have a bit of a chance to have a slight incident and get away with it. But he stayed clean all the way through and got it done.
That's true indeed. So very well done to Nils, and bad luck to Ninja Karma. And I've seen, I think, the highest incident count of any race of the season so far.
Yeah, that was some chaos, and I don't think everyone was equally pleased with it after the race either.
No,
perhaps you could argue that this track isn't the most suitable for multi-class running. At least it would have to be a pair of slower classes then.
Yeah, the arguments are certainly well in place for that one.
But it does leave everything still to play in the pro classes, at least, that were coming. Sort of a return to our spiritual home, I guess I'd say.
Yeah,
Le Mans.
Indeed. Lazard.
Next week.
Next 2 weeks, even.
Next 2 weeks, yeah. Yeah, but
next week. Starting next week. 2 weeks of Le Mans, 14 days of consecutive straight non-stop running. No, of course not. But of course, we're very much looking forward to returning to Le Mans. Although in the LMP race, I think we will have our issues with keeping up.
Yeah.
And the Porsche 919, which at least in this game isn't.
It's not the most top speedy thing for sure, and it is a very top speedy track. But it's always nice to come back there. I love that track.
Most certainly. In other news, we've had the dates released for the next IGTL race.
Yep.
Which will be on the.
A bit of info about it as well.
Which will be on December 25th.
Oh, not December.
December 20th. January.
January
25th and 26th, of course, with 20. Yep. January 25th is qualification night, and then race night on the 26th. And we are very much looking forward to it. It's a 3-hour team race. Once more, two split lobby, as we've seen on Catalonia.
And once again, it's a one-make race as well, which is, I gotta say, nice to say.
Yeah.
I think it suits what this series is trying to do.
It is.
Pitting some super strong guys against each other, and making it, more of a battle of the drivers than a battle of setups and strategies, and very, very nice. And you wouldn't have thought it possible, but there might be a chance that next race's grid will be even stronger than the last two.
I think with the team format, we're gonna see some very strong teams there.
Oh, just keep going on up.
It certainly
just
does.
going on it.
It certainly does. And of course, we will be back next week for the aforementioned race at Lazard. and of course the coverage of
Yep.
it in a week's time here on the channel. So until then, well, I think all that's left is to say, of course, if you haven't already, like and subscribe if you like the broadcast, and if you like what we do. I'm so sorry. I see the sour face.
Man.
I'm so sorry that just slipped out of my mouth. You know I don't mean that. I'm so sorry, bro. That's an epic channel moment right
My
there.
eyes are welling up.
Yeah, I know. I'm so sorry. But if you like what we do, Trials and I, here on the channel.
At least I beat you in all the races this week.
Yeah,
or
you
in
did.
the last week as well.
Yeah, you did.
In your face.
In my face.
So we're out, guys. I'm gonna try to mend my broken heart until the next broadcast, and Dirten is gonna pack up all of his microphone gear and sound deadening equipment, and get all that stuff packed up, excluding the wire for the microphone. For a second there, he brought a lot of other very important equipment and a whole team of sound engineers, but he forgot the cable for the
I
microphone.
forgot a cable for the microphone.
It was swiftly fixed though. Hope you enjoyed it tonight, guys.
Yeah.
See you soon.
It's been a lot of fun. See you as soon as... see you ASAP. And until then, take care, have fun, and...
Bye.
Bye.